And welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is a quick news video just summarising that we've just had a statement from the Premier League saying that the Premier League will not resume at the beginning of May. This was a meeting with the stakeholders, which is essentially most of the teams and all the sponsors and different people involved. And they've said that the restart date is under constant review with all stakeholders as the impact of COVID-19 pandemic develops and we work together through this very challenging time. Premier League is working closely with the whole professional football in this country, as well as with the government, public agencies and relevant stakeholders to ensure the games achieve a collaborative solution. So essentially they're essentially suspending it indefinitely. They've not kind of given a start date, they've not given a date that this is going to come back, which is kind of against what they were saying before. They were kind of hoping that things would start up again in May. I think they've quickly seen that that's not going to be a possibility and it could be some time before we get games. They've also mentioned that they've been consulting the players about reducing their salaries by about 30%, whether that be from the clubs that paying them out, or whether that be in how Manchester United have said today. There was a statement come out that Harry Maguire has organised the United players to give out 30% of their wages to charity. Which I think is probably a better way of doing things. You know, instead of it being that the higher end people in the club sort of benefit from all this, it's more the actual people that need the money. So I think that might be a better way of doing all that. And the other thing that the Premier League have come out with say is that the solidarity with the clubs below the Premier League. So they're going to help out essentially the clubs below it with the payments, the parachute payments. Crystal League unanimously voted to advance funds of £125 million to the EFL and National League as it aware of the severe difficulties throughout this time. So that, again, I think this was picked up a lot on in the podcast that Stephen Howson did with Danny Higginbottom, saying that probably the biggest thing out of all this is that everyone has jobs, and especially some of these clubs are still alive and kicking when this all gets back going again. So that's kind of what's happened today. Let us know what you think about that. You know, I don't think anyone kidded that it was going to be May, but I think the Premier League coming out and saying that is kind of assuring this, and it's a scary thought that it might not be until June, July. They've still not said that, they've still not put on the table the fact that it could potentially be null and voided. So whether that'll be the case when they review things in 3 weeks, 4 weeks time again, who knows? They've still not said that, but again, it's also going to be the UEFA competitions and things like that. They've still not put out a definitive answer to how that would be, because they don't know, and we don't know either what's going to happen with all this, and when it's going to be safe to play football, whether it be behind closed doors or get fans together. I'm sure everyone would be willing to have some kind of football be played, whether that be the tournament style at St George's Park or in the Midlands or wherever they've decided to do it. I think everyone would support that, but I think what the Premier League kind of come out today and said is, we're not going to force this. We are going to stick to the government guidelines. We're not going to go over and above that in any way, shape or form. We're going to stick with that, and unless it's 100% safe, unless we can guarantee the safety of all the players, all the staff, everyone involved, because it's not just 22 players that are going to turn up and play, or the squads that are going to turn up and play. You still need physios, you still need doctors, and taking people away from the NHS is the worst thing, or taking anyone away from any medical position right now is potentially a terrible thing to be doing. So, you know, all those factors considering, I think the Premier League have made the right decision in just kind of saying this isn't going to happen anytime soon. What that means in terms of Europa League and Champions League football, who knows? Whether, you know, the more this gets postponed, I think it's going to be a case of the leagues will happen first and then it'll be cup competitions that get done. But I think for Manchester United, if that's the case, if it does get back playing, it's going to impact teams like Man United more than anyone, teams like Wolves as well. You know, the Europa League is one of our big chances of getting into the Champions League next year. And whether this condensed format will help Manchester United reach the top four, I don't know. But, you know, the Europa League has been an important part of our season and was going to be an even more important part of our season, especially with the 5-0 win against Lask. You know, that got us through, and, you know, we were pretty much guaranteed into the quarterfinals of the competition. So if that can't get played, you know, it can impact our season next year. But I think the Premier League have kind of come out and said now, you know, forgetting how clubs are getting on, forgetting whether it's going to impact your relegation and things like that, the most important thing is we stick to the government guidelines, and we don't do anything daft, and we make sure that everyone's healthy. They're coming in and out of those tournaments, or however they're going to run it. But make sure, leave your comments below. What do you think of this? Do you think they've come out too early? Do you think they're not being strong enough? And do you think that should they avoid it now? Should they try and set a date? What should they get in the comments below? Let us know what you're thinking. Make sure you join in tonight. We've got something a bit more light-hearted. We have Late Night Live with Mr. Joe Smith tonight, and we've got all sorts of things coming out over the weekend, so make sure to check out them. As always, please like, share, subscribe, and also make sure, if you want to, take a look at our membership packs. We have 3 tiers, the top tier being a merchandise pack, where every single month we will send you some different Stretford Paddock merch. So make sure you do that. Make sure you're checking out our videos, and we'll see you next time.